And we're live. Thumbs down Frank's here before we even start. What the heck's up with Thumb Down Frank this week?
Guess that's why you shouldn't take those things personal, because we weren't even here.
I know.
What'd y'all say?
It was probably somebody in the comments made somebody else happy in the comments, and they couldn't take all the happiness. That's probably what it was.
I don't know.
You know, like when you're mad, or if you've ever been irritated, and then somebody like tries to be happy around you, and you're like, "Don't be happy right now. I'm annoyed." Maybe there was somebody in the comments doing that. Welcome to Thursday evening live hangout Q&A thing that we do every week. We've got some questions from Patreon. Actually, we got more from YouTube members than from Patreon members this week, which is the first time that's ever happened. So that's really cool. Knowing that y'all over on YouTube who have hit the little join button down there know that that's available to you. I don't know if you guys know this or not, too. Patreon members and YouTube members get 10% off everything at Dylan Talks Tone that we make. So,
take advantage.
Yeah. And I have been known to not be upset, and I am never upset about this. Let's say, for example, that you went over there and signed up for Patreon for the $5 a month thing, just so you could get the discount, the 10% off on everything on the website. And then after a couple months, you just canceled. That doesn't even make me mad.
It makes me mad. I'm just kidding.
Just so you know. It doesn't, you know. And the reason I mention that is because, you know, if a set of pickups is $300, you know, which Strat set of pickups is like that, so, or pushing it, that's more than $5 or $10 for a couple months of Patreon. So you're making out. I mean, not like making out.
With who?
Well, that's what I was saying. You're not actually making out. But you're, you know, you're ahead of the game if you do that. So I just want to mention it. So you guys saw the thumbnail. Here's what I want to know. We're going to do this. This is what I'm starting. I think this works. To let them know why the thumbnail is there so they can start to discuss. And then we'll go to the Patreon questions. We've been using that format the last few weeks, and it's been working really well. Also, just so you know how this works, if you have questions, you can put them down there in the chat, or over here in the chat. Put a bunch of question marks in front of them. Leslie will try to get to them. If you use a super chat, we stop what we're doing and we just answer it right away, because that seems to be needed lately because we have so many questions. Because we're only going for an hour, and at 9 o'clock, I take that back, we're answering guitar questions for an hour, and then at 9 o'clock, we're going to completely go off the rails. After 9 o'clock, no guitar questions allowed unless it's a super chat. That's how this works. A little off-topic hanging out with y'all that we've been doing every week, and I've been really, really enjoying it. So, the thumbnail. Now that we've got all the housekeeping out of the way. The thumbnail is, let's say you have two American guitars, okay? We're talking American-made quality instruments. And let's call them both, for the sake of this discussion, Tele-style guitars. And one is a Fender, and one is a custom-built guitar by somebody who is a reputable builder. And you can match features, you can match whatever. Let's say even the price is pretty similar. Let's say it's $2,000. Yeah, okay, so let's say it's a Tele-style guitar, and the Fender one's $2,000 for a good one, because that's what they cost. And a reputable smaller builder has one for $2,000 too. And they're pretty comparable guitars. Are you going with the big brand, or are you going to support a small builder? It's a question. It's a question I have, and I think it's an interesting one.
You think your question is interesting?
Well, I do, because it affects us. You know, you could say the same thing about pickups. You know, you could say the same thing about anything. What are your criteria for making that decision? But let's try to be apples to apples as much as possible here. And we're not talking price stuff here. We're not talking, yeah, well, I can get a Squire and it's just as good as that's a different discussion for a different day. A $2,000 Telecaster, a real one, versus a $2,000 custom one. Apples to apples-ish. You know what I mean? Where are you going to go on that? While you jam up the question section with all of that stuff, the comment section with all that stuff, can we go through a couple of these questions over here?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Our first question is from Greg. For a 3-knob guitar with 2 humbuckers, let's say 2 center punches, would you go with 2 volume, 1 tone, or 2 tone, 1 volume? Totally subjective at the end of the day, I know, but given how many guitars you've laid hands on, I'm curious what factors you'd consider.
So on a 3-knob guitar, personally, I would go with 2 volumes and 1 tone. So a Strat is 1 volume and 2 tones, right? And you can play with which pickups do what. I've been playing the Challenger lately, the Texas Toast Challenger, quite a bit, and it's got 2 volumes and 1 tone. I think that's more versatile because, remember, the volume itself can be part of the tone control because of how it acts. So I kind of like the 2 volumes, 1 tone thing of those 2 choices.
Cool.
That's cool. We never had that question before.
Wussy? That's their name?
Oh man, it's Wayne Hussey. It spell checked it.
I was like, who is this?
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
not a question. Just a comment that it's not because I've lost interest or fallen out with the channel that I'm not in the live stream so much anymore. It's just because I got a new job and have to revert to normal sleep patterns.
And he's in Europe. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's 5 hours ahead or whatever. So he would be, staying up way late to watch us.
Well, thanks for letting us know why you're not here. Maybe that means you're watching the replays?
Yeah, and we've been missing you. I was thinking about it last week when we haven't been seeing him around that much. Speaking of which, if you're in the comments and you are not, this is if you're watching it in the replay or if you're watching it in live, please do me a favor and just leave an emoji. Now, we were encouraging the poop emoji.
Don't do that.
But don't use the poop emoji because YouTube thinks, I don't know.
Like you're harassing us or something.
Yeah, I don't know what the poop emoji has to do with the First Amendment. But it is something I'm not sure. I don't know. But maybe it's because they think they're
like hate spamming us or something.
Hate spamming us with a bunch of poop emojis. So don't use that. Probably don't use puke emoji either. I would say any of the more positive emojis. Just throw them in there. Funny ones, I don't care. Just whatever. If you are a YouTube member, you get special ones. Just FYI.
Yeah, I feel like we need to check on those because I feel like one of the
they might not be working.
is not working.
Well, maybe we should update them with some new stuff anyway.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other day.
Yep. Let's do we have one more question over there or a couple more? One more.
Done. I saw a post earlier today which showed a guitar equipped with Lawler P90s. I noticed that the pole pieces were completely flat to the cover. They looked like slugs rather than screws. Is there a different construction method happening here or just a variation of normal?
Yeah, so here, let me grab a tele pickup because I've got one sitting right here. The normal tele pickup is just the flat pressed in magnet into the flat work, right? And then of course we know what a P90 looks like with the screws and there's magnets underneath and it's more actually almost kind of constructed like a humbucker. The original P90 from 1951 to 1950 or 49 to 53, something like that, was a magnet thing pressed together. So maybe Lawler is doing something like that. Gibson in the late 2010s also did a lower priced P90 with just magnet slugs. They tend to be a lot brighter and very kind of brittle sounding, in my opinion. But maybe Lawler has figured out something. He's really smart, so maybe he's figured out something to make those sound really good.
Somebody had the suggestion that we should make a custom poop emoji.
Maybe.
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
All right, that was all Patreon. Do you want to hear
Yes,
what
let's
people
get
are
into
saying?
it because this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Let's get into it. All right.
Just rattle through them.
Josh M., if they're 100% comparable, then Fender because of its business support of it. However, if just price and features match, small builder as they probably spent more time making the guitar perfect.
Okay.
Someone's dad, I will go small. I will only go small if I can totally spec it out. I will go Fender if I just want a pro level guitar that I can play a gig with the day I get it.
Okay.
Clarence Jones, let's be honest here. A name brand charging you $2K, it's going to be worth about $1K. But the smaller luthiers are going to give you about $4K worth of quality for $2K. Curtis Chavez, I would get the custom builder. That wasn't part of the question, right? Because I have humongous hands and stock necks are like playing on toothpicks. Second, I despise noiseless pickups. Fender better resale, but compromise for me. Sean Joint, I would go custom. Jeffrey Egan, everything being equal, including price, I'd go with the small builder. Eric Gale, as a small builder, I like when people tell me they prefer small builders like myself.
I get that. Me too.
Familiar person, small builder. I am more confident I will get a quality instrument from the small builder. Windsurf Maui, custom if I can get the features I want. SS jumbo frets, humbuckers, thick V-shaped neck, etc. Doc says small builder all day, every day. He buys a guitar every day?
Doc, he buys a lot of them.
Van Shank Guitars. Oh, this is not related. I'll read that in a minute. New Gun Guy says all guitar companies, although my current, I don't know what GAS symptom is, a Fender Robert Cray Sunburst Hardtail Strat. So he doesn't care. He'll buy from anybody. Vinny's World, given all things equal for me, since I don't flip guitars, it boils down to whether it's something I can wait for. If I don't need it immediately, then definitely small builder. Van Shank Guitars, I build my own now, so I get the premium of buying from a small builder. So I get the premium of buying from a small builder. I guess I emphasized the wrong words there. BC Rich 581, smaller builder for me, but I don't buy with the intent to resell. Sadly, builders don't hold value like Fender. Fretzy, the only thing stopping me from shopping with smaller businesses is quality. Nobody really talks about the small shops that suck. I worked for one, LOL. D Smart 32, small builder unless I was planning on selling in the future because big names usually sell easier. Brian Mills would buy the Daily Driver from TTG all day long.
Yeah, that's a good guitar.
Scott Dreyfus, small builder every time. Clarence Jones, I'm going with a smaller brand because the big brands are scam artists and they charge you $100 on every $10 that they put into their so-called artwork. Fat Philosopher, big brands make sense if the idea is one day you'll flip it for something else. Paul McNary says, I'm only going with guitars that I build myself.
Made your bass pickups today, Paul.
I think this is in addition to Scott Dreyfus where he said small business. It says it's a people business. Fender feels too big to care. Presley, California Custom. That's me. Small builder. I did 21 customs last year.
Nice.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. So this is an interesting conversation. I more people said buying from a small builder than I thought. A couple of observations is price seems to be, there's two things. The reputation and the quality of the instrument is paramount. Like, it's got to be good, right? That makes sense. The other thing is, you're going to pay more. So I said, okay, 2 guitars for $2,000 a piece. But to tell you the truth, you're going to pay $3,500 from a small builder for a $2,000 guitar from Fender. That's just the reality of it because of the scaling purposes. So somebody mentioned they up the charge $100 for every $10 that they invest in the guitar. That's probably a little extreme. I understand your point. I do understand your point. Might be a slight exaggeration. It's probably more like $50 for every 10. It's usually 4 or 5 to 1. But basic economics, that makes sense. I do that too. You have to. That's how you keep a business solvent. Typically, you would be looking at, let's say, a part cost. I mean, well, I was talking to another buddy of mine about business stuff, and he was saying, for every dollar that I spend, I have to bring in $1.20, or $1.80. And so, in order to do that, that doesn't sound like it adds up. But the economics of everything is, if something costs me $1, I have to charge $4 for it. And if that covers the labor, that covers all of the back end, that covers all of the crap surrounding it. So that doesn't sound from your side like it makes sense. Like a lot of people would be like, you only have $15 worth of parts in these pickups.
YouTube just doesn't like emojis.
How come they're $100? And that's maybe they don't like. Maybe they think it's spammy or something.
I don't know. I'm releasing some of your comments. I apologize for missing them when you left some emojis.
So anyway, I think those things are very important to understand. I would like to do a video about the business of making guitars, because a lot of people, I feel, have a misunderstanding of how much it costs to do this stuff. And I understand, because you might not do this for a living, and you might just see, well, if this costs $1, they're marking it up 500%. They must be all living on yachts in the Caribbean, and it's just kind of not the case. So it's an interesting observations from our conversation. I appreciate you guys bringing all these points out, though, because, well, to be honest with you, Matt and I were talking about it the other day from Texas Toast, and we're talking about, like, if you're going to compete in the guitar market, what do people really want? And what are they gonna actually buy? In his live stream tonight, he talked about, should I build Strats? And the bottom line is, would you buy something from somebody like Matt or Chris at Texas Toast Guitars, or MJT, or in any of these smaller companies, instead of buying them from Fender? And it's pretty split for various reasons. So it's an interesting conversation to have. Whatever was everybody else still saying?
A lot.
Go ahead.
Eric Gale says, my heart and soul goes into my builds. I'm my own worst critic, so I spend as much time as it takes to get things perfect. The big companies just can't spend that time and effort. Greg Lanham says, small builder. He can't compete with a big guy. He competes with himself every day to make it just a hair bit better.
Yep.
Bob Ertz, small builder. Let's see. Oh, and New Gun Guy let me know that GAS equals Guitar Acquisition Syndrome.
Or Gear Acquisition Syndrome. Yeah, I was going to tell you that, but I forgot. We were going too fast.
Who was going too fast? Brian Mills said, and of course, said Daily Driver would have Dylan's flat sixes in it.
Thanks, man.
Doug Santinello says, I have many small builders guitars.
He does. He has big builders guitars,
Ed Dupree said, support small business. Fat Philosopher says, don't want to poop on small builders, but there are some scam artists out there. Look what happened to Jared Dines. Avoid Russian builders.
Yeah, there has been, and that's why you kind of have to hang out and watch, right? Heck, that's why it's taken us 10 years to get to a spot where we actually have some steam, because people know that when they order pickups from us, they're going to get them. Okay, it might take a little while sometimes, but in the grand scheme of things, if something takes 3 to 4 weeks, I'm really bummed out. We have always tried to stay in the 2 to 3 week back order range, and sometimes we can't because we're really busy. But we've tried to stay there, and I hear horror stories all the time. I ordered these custom pickups from some guy in Montana or wherever. I'm not saying anybody in particular, just random state, and it's taken me 9 months, and they're not done yet. And I'm like, gee whiz, like that's crazy. So yeah, you're not going to get that here. I mean, if we can't get something done in less than a month, I'll tell you and tell you why. Recently, we had the whole hurricane in Florida thing kind of screwed us up, but we're finally kind of getting out of that now. Yeah. Is there any other questions in there?
Yeah, and it's kind of mixed in now, so
That's okay. Let's just go. That's cool.
Janice Cianowski says, "Hi, Dylan.
Hey.
Could you please explain the differences between treble bleed, capacitor only, and capacitor with resistor? Thank you."
So the two of them together are a filter, and so the resistor affects. Okay, the capacitor affects the crossover frequency, more or less, the shelf. So any frequency above or below this line, the value of the capacitor, and the resistor chokes down the voltage sum in relation to the capacitance, if that makes sense. So it becomes nonlinear at that point. And then that interacts with the way the pot turns down. So it's just going to give you a different rate of cut as you turn the knob. I guess that's the easiest way to say that without getting really into the weeds.
Van Chank Guitar says, "So if I'm both a Patreon and a YouTube member, do I get 20% off?"
No.
This says GIVM2, and I read it like give them two. I don't know what it is, but anyway. Ahoy there, Dylan and Leslie. Your live streams and videos rock. Thank you. You have really helped my guitar building journey, and you guys can crack me up. Hee hee. Thanks again.
Hee hee.
Maybe it's supposed to be like, heh heh. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Sorry. It was only 2. You did 3. Scott Dreyfus says, "Dylan, what's the process like to have you build a guitar?"
You call me and I say no. And then you email me a couple more times. And then I tell you how much it's going to cost. And then I kind of say yes. That's just happened. Get back to me on that. My official stance for the last 3 or 4 years has been that we do not build guitars anymore. But I am building one right now for a gentleman in Connecticut.
Doesn't listen to himself.
And I'm going to tell you, I'll just be very honest with you about this, that the guys at Texas Toast are helping me with it because I don't have the facilities to do a lot of the things. So, if you were to buy a guitar from me, it would be a collaboration with Texas Toast. I just want that to be very clear. My name will be on it. It will be all my stuff. I will do all of the work that I can, and which is a lot of it, and it will all be in videos because we're going to show you. It's in. Matt and I are still working out some details to make sure that it's something that we could do again if somebody asked me to do it again. And so once I get those details sorted out, I will let you know, or you can ask me again in a month or 2, and we will see. I would like to be very honest with you, I would like to build
You can't hear my interruption because your computer is turned down. We got a super chat from Thomas Torville. Thank you for the super chat. He said, "Hi, Dylan and Leslie. Sorry I'm late.
Hey, I worked on your guitar today.
That's a nice way to make an entrance, Thomas. I
Yep.
like that approach.
So I will do it probably. I would really like to get to the point where we're doing 4 or 5 a year maybe, but not a lot. And they're not going to be $1,500. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They're not going to be $1,500. But they're going to be very cool. So we have some plans in the works, but I just don't know what that means right now.
All right. Doc wants to know what's in the glass tonight. Mine has a word I can't pronounce 16 in it tonight. Cheers.
Lavalin.
That's a lot of syllables that you did not say, or letters.
Yeah, it's a Scotch. Yeah, he likes that stuff. This is Jefferson's Ocean.
What voyage?
23, I think.
All right. Clarence Jones. Dylan, you got to start making your own guitars and basses so we can put an end to all this malarkey. That's a great word. This malarkey.
It keeps coming up, hon.
The malarkey?
The malarkey is ever present. But the guitar thing keeps coming up. And, yeah. You know, it was my dream when I was a kid. It was my dream when I was a kid to have a guitar brand with my name on the pig head. And there are pretty close to 100 of my guitars in the world. Somewhere around 80 something, I think. I felt like that was a thing that we did and was done. And people keep asking. And if I can sort out a workflow and a product that I am happy with, that people want to purchase, I will do it. But I will tell you that a lot of it will be done on my terms, for simplicity's sake, and
no malarkey.
And the cost will be what it is. There will not be Squire versions. There will not be, hey, can you do it for $1,500? The answer is no, I will not. Because I don't need to do it. I want to do it because I love it. But that's not what keeps our lights on. Our focus is pickups and YouTube videos. So, but thank you for asking, and don't stop asking if it's something that you're very serious about. Yeah, because I love it. I want to do it, but I just don't know.
All right. Next up, we have someone's dad says a $2,000 Anderson versus a $2,000 Fender. Anderson all day. Now find me a $2,000 new Anderson.
Amen, brother. That's the thing. It's $3,500 to $5,500. I think Paisley, somebody from California, was in Matt's stream and is in our stream now, was like, a custom guitar needs to cost $5,500, period. And I'm like, the end. Absolutely. I 100% agree, because it's real life. It's real life.
Jeffrey Egan says you can charge extra for the malarkey.
Well, we might just have to put some malarkey in every guitar then.
So you can charge more?
I mean, really? Oh, so malarkey must be better than Mojo. Because people usually want Mojo. But if they want malarkey, I'll give them malarkey.
I think they want malarkey because that means it's not what you want. Right? You said no malarkey.
Oh,
and it's going to be on your terms.
They need to put in
their terms.
I thought
they have to pay for that malarkey.
I thought we were putting an end to malarkey. So, yeah, we're not putting any malarkey in our guitars.
I mean, maybe some people will pay for no malarkey. But some people might want to pay for malarkey.
You have to pay extra for no malarkey.
No, you have to pay extra for malarkey.
Oh my God. Next.
You're not listening.
I love this. Please don't even tell me what the secret says.
Why? Doc says Thank you for the super chat, Doc. Doc Siltonen says, you absolutely should be building guitars. It's just too fulfilling not to. I love every minute of it, despite the challenges and tribulations.
I do too. It's really fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. See, Solano Speed Shop agrees with me. Malarkey is not free. Greg Lanham says malarkey adds tone.
Okay.
And Jeffrey Egan says malarkey for punk guitars, or is it anarchy?
Oh, good. Yep. Okay.
That philosopher said, isn't malarkey talk in the second hour? Fair.
Yep. And you don't even have to pay extra. But thank you for the super chat, Doc. I knew Doc was going to tell me to build guitars. I knew he was.
Because he knows you need some personal satisfaction in your life.
I mean, I have plenty of that, but, you know, if you can have more. Oh, geez.
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay, I got out of order. Okay, wait 1 second. Sorry. I'm reading ahead.
We got super chats coming in. Hang on.
Super chat from Fretzy. Thank you for the super chat, Fretzy. Tuning in again from the Southwest Guitar Gallery. I wish you could see our holiday backlog right now. LOL. Oh, from the Sweetwater. I don't know.
Oh, the Sweetwater. The Southwest.
Southwest.
The Sweetwater Guitar Gallery.
Sorry about that, Fretzy. I even knew that's who you were.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's who commented earlier that they used to work for a crappy small builder.
Oh, yeah. I got my amp from Sweetwater. You guys, this amp is so good.
Hush.
Keep going.
We have another super chat from Doc Stilton. Thank you again for another super chat. He said, we need a no malarkey shirt.
Okay.
I like that.
I like it
Can
too.
I design that one?
Yes, you can. Get on it and I'll make it happen.
Al Adolphson, just an old guy, says, I'd pay $1.280 for each unit of malarkey.
Okay. Oh, man. I love
Curtis
this
Chavez
conversation.
says, so what's worse, malarkey or shenanigans?
Malarkey can have some frustration associated with it. I feel like shenanigans are like sneaky fun. Yeah, that you don't tell people about, but it still happens and you have fun. So yeah, malarkey and shenanigans, there's definitely a difference. This is totally guitar related. For sure. See, because it's before 9
How
o'clock.
is the tone happening? Yes.
Yes.
All right.
What other questions?
Stu Crombie. I don't know if I got stitched up, but I got a 21 fret Fender neck, but the 2-pin didn't line up on the tuners, but I read the special line was different.
Okay, so if you have 2-pin tuners, so is the neck routed for something other than 2-pin tuners? Because if you have those 2-pin tuners, they are very difficult to find replacements or cross retrofitting with. My guess would be that you have a Squiry or lower priced guitar or the tuners came from that, and then you upgraded to a Fender neck that probably does not have those 2-post tuners, because those 2-post tuners usually come from a lower line and they don't cross over with much. It's very difficult to find. Honestly, you could grind the pins off because they're not expensive tuners. Grind the pins off, it won't hurt anything. And you just tighten them down and it'll be fine. I mean, that's what I would do. I wouldn't drill holes in the neck.
Doc says, now with no malarkey and extra shenanigans.
That's right.
Eric Gale says, do I need to offer tone malarkey on my builds now? I already changed over to tone solder. Damn it. Hard to keep up with trends.
I already sent an email to have it trademarked. So if you do that, I'm going to send you a cease and desist order because I'm first on the malarkey market.
Oh, apparently malarkey is a slang nice way to say BS.
Right. That's what I thought.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
BC Rich 581 says, I prefer pure tone tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery is a good word. It's one of those words you want to work in somehow, but you don't usually end up doing it wrong.
Jeffrey Egan, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'm just glad I got my Les Paul Standard last year when the way prices are going.
Oh, for real, dude. Yeah.
For sure.
My Fiore was $2,400 when I ordered it a year ago, and it was $2,800 when I received it. I got to pay the old price, but it went up $400 while I was waiting for it.
Solano Speed Shop. That's Ken Stouffer.
Yep.
Maybe just name a set of pickups, shenanigans, and malarkey. Which one goes in the bridge position, though?
You know what? I just realized what it is. The little Les Paul coin that goes on the switch, instead of it saying bass and treble or neck and bridge, it should say shenanigans and malarkey.
You shouldn't have said that out loud. That's a great idea.
That's a lot of letters to fit on that little thing, but yeah. Anyway.
Charles Wallace says price times 2.75 equals customer's price on parts.
That is for auto parts type stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if he's doing your math when you were throwing numbers out.
2.75. No.
Is 1 to 4 2.75? I don't know.
No, it's typically... Honestly, it's typically 80% gross profit on parts. So, like, let's say something costs $1, then you need to sell it for, $800. So you need to sell it 8 times. So you need to sell it for $9. But that includes all the stuff, everything. There's a couple formulas you can use. Me and Austin were talking about this a couple weeks ago. There's a couple of formulas.
So if you threw out numbers, it could have been you were thinking of something else.
Yeah, I was thinking because a lot of times what I will do, you guys, is I will say, okay, this pedal right here costs. And I've done this. This is not just with guitar stuff. I've done this. I used to manufacture dirt bike parts for a living, and so you would literally have to be like, okay, this exhaust pipe is going to hit the market at, because a lot of times you'll have to set the price at what the market will bear too. So, like, a spark plug can only cost X amount of dollars before nobody buys it anymore. This, guitar pedals and stuff are a lot more relative, but there are certain things where you're like, this thing can't cost more than $120, otherwise nobody's going to buy the thing. Okay, so does that mean $120? 30 means I need to be able to make it for like $35. If I can't make it for $35, I don't make the part. Like in like dirt bike parlance. Now, if you apply that to music stuff, it's a different percentage. Every business kind of has its different percentage. But my brain does that. I'll take a pair of sunglasses or whatever, and it's like if this sunglasses cost X amount of dollars, then they have to be able to make it for less than this in order for that. And there's all these formulas, and my brain just does that. We will be walking around somewhere, and I'll be like, whew, cost of parts on that thing must be a lot, or there must be some labor in that we don't know about because of where that price is, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's, because typically people don't want to, I don't think people realize this. People put a lot of evil intent into somebody like Fender or Gibson. They're raising their prices because they all want to live on yachts in the Caribbean. No, actually, a cost in their process went up. And they had to raise the price. They don't want to make the price expensive. They don't want their product more unattainable by more people. So otherwise, it doesn't work. So they're not raising prices on purpose. People don't. I think they get that wrong a little bit.
Yeah, and Charles said this is current up to 100. Then we double it, and labor is separate. So maybe
he's talking about because he works in a mechanic. Yeah. He's a mechanic, yeah, and yes. So that's what I'm saying. Every business kind of has their own little formula for how that profit structure. When you get your car fixed, there's like a 48% gross profit on a repair bill. That results in a 10% net profit for the business for the year. Like all those things, it's a bunch of crazy stuff. So people think, oh, it costs this much. You're trying to get rich. No. There's bills and monthly memberships to YouTube and stuff that you have to pay.
All right. We got like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And 16 things.
Let's do it.
Fretzy says, I would be ecstatic if the entire non-guitar topic of the stream is just about silly words. Fat Philosopher says, shenanigans always gives me the heebie-jeebies and the willies. Bud, I almost said Bud Light because it looks like it says Bud Light 88, but it says Bud Legit 88.
That's sweet.
Would you build a super strat with a single humbucker in the bridge? You're bringing them all out the wood.
I know. Yeah, I sure. I totally would.
You just said you don't build guitars.
Actually, if you want one of those things, I have one, and I would sell it to you. It's hanging right back here. It's
a super strat with a single humbucker.
Yeah, it's that Kramer SHG1 in purple with a set neck, a Floyd Rose, the whole bomb, and it has my center punch 8 in it with a coil with a
already been
parallel.
Upgraded.
It's done, and I would sell it to you. $800 right now. You could have it.
All right, Bud Legit. You mentioned it first.
It's
I don't know what your real name is, though.
I have 2 guitars for sale. That and my MGK Telly are for sale right
now. Van Shank Guitar says, what about gobbledygook?
That's what's inside of a Klon pedal or a Dumble.
Michael Kelly says, where are the pickups at? I see no link. I did share. It's just DylanTalksTone.com.
Oh, there's a link down there, yeah. DylanTalksTone.com.
Well, they might not can see it if they're looking at the lab. I can't see anything right now.
Oh, it's true, yep.
Doc said that's a killer idea. I would buy a Malarkey Shenanigans poker chip for my Gibsons. Someone's dad says, as long as there is no skullduggery. That is something I've never heard.
I've heard skullduggery.
It's not from the South, apparently. Wait, someone's dad is from the South.
Yep.
I don't know. I've never heard that one. Scott Dreyfus.
Speaking of skullduggery, he lives down there by all that.
Where does Scott Dreyfus live? Because I feel like
Murders podcast
I went to school with a Scott Dreyfus, but it's probably not the same person.
No, probably not.
Fiore over a Silver Sky? Question.
2 different guitars.
Absolutely love the Fiore, but I haven't had the chance to see one in the flesh.
2 different guitars completely.
It doesn't have flesh, by the way.
2 different. Yeah, there's no skin on it. There's probably some DNA for sure.
Ew.
I'm just saying. I've been playing it a lot. They're 2 different guitars, totally. The neck profiles are completely different. The pickups are completely different. The guitar plays totally different. It's the trims are totally different. It sounds completely different. It's a different guitar, but it's so good. I need to do a video on that, like why it's just not a Strat with a humbucker in the bridge, because it's not.
Oh, he's at Augusta, Georgia. Dude, I know who you are.
Wait, so
I think he's younger than me.
He literally, you went to school with him?
Yes, probably. I think
so weird.
Yeah. Hi, Scott. We're in Augusta too.
Oh, that's so weird. He's like, who are you?
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, what's your maiden name?
No,
which I wouldn't put.
We're not talking about that here.
No, we wouldn't put that in the YouTube channel. But yeah, that's cool.
Okay, sorry. I got totally distracted by the comments, and then when I went to go read the comments in here, I saw that, and I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
So give him 2. I don't know if that's really how he says his name. How about Great Googly Moogly? What was that show? I think that all the time.
Great Googly Moogly.
And I say it to Brianna.
Yeah, that's a TV.
I mean, I can even hear it. It's like Great Googly Moogly, but I don't know what it's from.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me what it's from.
Anyway.
I could probably Google it.
Or Moogle it. Sorry.
Where are you cracking up?
I don't know. I thought it was funny. This is a weird one, man.
Familiar person says, if we're going to do silly words, I'd like a humbucker with some doohickeys in it.
Yep. Wait, we have familiar person, somebody's dad.
I love these names.
Yeah, they're great. We have some really good anonymous names.
DSmart32, will you still be doing the wide range humbucker mod upgrade for the Squire pickup in the future?
I don't think so. The last time we did that was an absolute royal pain in my butt, and I hated every minute of it. Have no fear, because I am working on a thing. I'm working on a thing. I want to make my own. I want to make my own wide ranges because I think they can be amazing, but that is not the way to do it. It was just too much of a pain.
Yeah, I think Scott has no clue who I am. Anyway, Stu Crombie says there should be reduced costs for delivery to Europe from these countries. It would do a business like yours good. The big players will F you over.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. Somebody else was talking about the cost of, it's not that they didn't want to buy from you, but it was like the additional cost that it takes to get something to them.
Well, yeah, because they probably have some kind of VAT, like some kind of
and they
value
said
added
it's just
tax.
like they can obviously get it from somebody else for a better price, probably in
Yeah, I
their
get
own
that.
country.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
James, would running a humbucker and a single in series have the same effect as a single and single?
Yes, but no, because it'll sound different. But it can be done if it's done in a pickup that this phase is correct. Yep.
Somebody said, please do the malarkey shenanigans pickups. That would be super dope.
Yep.
James, as a new Strat owner who loves Tellies and Alnico 2 pickups, are A2s the same in Strats?
The length of the magnet is probably different, so the overall strength will be a little bit different, but the percentage difference between an A5 and an A2 will be the same. But if you have a short A2 and a tall A2, the tall A2 will have more magnetic force at the top of it than a shorter one will. But you can. But like I said, the percentage between the 2 and the 5 will still be the same. Difference, the delta between them.
Mark Hott says, what about Texas Toast Guitars building the guitar? Then you finish the wiring and with your name on the headstock?
That's there. I don't want to get too much into it, but we're doing one right now that is the percentage of what you just said, who does what, is still a bit in flux, but that's kind of what's happening. But I'm going to do all the nut and all the setup and all the, so yeah. Basically, I'm going to buy the parts from them, but they're making them to my specs is what's happening for this particular guitar.
Scott Dreyfus says, I'm a Seymour Duncan whore so far. I'm going to build a vintage Telly and I want to try your pickups. Where do I start with yours?
If you're going to do a vintage style Telly, flat 6 Telly pickups all the way. If you're from Augusta, Georgia and you play guitar, I'm going to throw a name out there. I'm going to tell you. I borrowed a 66 Telly from Michael Batamy. I took it apart. I measured all the stuff and developed my flat 6 pickups around those pickups that were in that guitar. This was probably 8 years ago. And they're the bomb. And ask anybody in the comments who has them. They're fantastic. If you're from Augusta, Georgia and you play guitar, you probably know who that is and know why that's cool. Because this dude has like every vintage guitar ever. So I've been able to actually play a bunch of his stuff and learn a lot from it. So, yeah.
I don't know that this is a question. I'm going to just read it. D-Max says, not quite USA versus USA, but I bought a Godin Session HTHSS that is as good or better than any Fender made in Mexico Player Plus, USA Performer.
I get that. I get Godin's Canadian. So
That explains his next comment where it was like Canada versus USA versus Mexico. And I was like, I don't understand what we're talking
It's
about
like
here.
NAFTA against NAFTA.
Oh
I
my
guess that doesn't
gosh.
exist anymore, but anyway, you know what I mean.
Oh, okay. We have a super chat from Backing Tracks for Guitar. Thank you for the super chat. He says, do you know what happened to Randall? They look so low profile right now. I love their amps. I have the RG50TC.
I don't. I've not followed them though because I don't play the kind of music that usually goes with Randall, so I'm not sure. I've not followed them that much. Thank you for the super chat. Awesome.
Scott said Michael is his guitar teacher.
Oh, nice. Well, you can ask him about it then.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a blue.
Is that how you
Or a
found us?
green.
Or did you just find us?
Yeah, it was a green Telly, a 66 Telly. It was his first, actually. Funny story. It was his first real vintage guitar. That was his first real one. Yeah.
That was his first one?
Mm-hmm. And I remember where he bought it from.
Is that the one we looked at on the pool table that night? Like it was a...
No, that was
That's
before
a different
that.
one?
I
don't
actually
remember
bought that guitar.
I don't remember this.
That's the guitar I actually bought for him. Yeah. It was some crazy thing, and he's like, hey, there's this guitar. Can you jump on it? And I was like, yeah. And I jumped on it, and I bought that guitar. And then he bought it for me. Kind of weird thing. But yeah.
All right. We're going to run out of time if we don't keep going.
Okay, let's keep going.
Corey Lee, Fiore versus Silver Sky, if you could only buy one.
Fiore.
Ivan Romanenko. Oh, I used to know somebody with the name Sherbanenko. That just reminded me of it, though. Anyway, hi, Dylan and Leslie. Dylan, do you do your DAFs with gold covers?
Yes, we do.
Curtis Chavez, difference in sound between a P90 and a Charlie Christian.
Woo, big time. It's a completely different pickup, completely different construction, different magnets, different magnet wire. It's usually like a 38 or a 38 or a 40 gauge instead of a 42. Tons of differences. Way lower output. Charlie Christians are usually really bassy. Still good clarity though. I actually got to play the Jim Jam Jimmy Texas Toast guitar with my P90 in the bridge and a Charlie Christian in the neck, and it was phenomenally the best thing I did. So good.
I had like 2 comments disappear.
Okay.
I don't know why or what they were.
Sorry.
I mean, that's terrible. Hero Glock. Oh, one person, so I don't know who it was. I do remember. They wanted to know like how long it took you to learn how to make pickups. I think that was the question.
We do these classes at Texas Toast Guitars a few times a year where we teach people to make pickups, and I can teach you to make a pickup, and your very first one will work and sound good in your guitar. The trick is to make, like for example, we have a client that we will send 30 sets of Strat pickups to. All 30 sets, so that's 90 pickups. They all have to sound right next to each other. I could send you a pickup, and I could send you a pickup, and I could send you a pickup 3 different places around the country, and you would all think they sounded good, but it doesn't matter because you're not next to each other. But when you have one brand and they're putting them in 30 guitars, stacked up next to each other in a pile, and all those guitars need to sound consistent, that's where the practice and the time comes in to make them consistent over time. That's the thing. But if you want to learn how to make pickups, we have those workshops so you can learn how to make a pickup in a day. I'll have you play in a P90 in a couple hours, and you'll be like, oh dang, this thing sounds awesome. Or a Strat pickup or Tele pickup or whatever in a couple of hours, and you'll be able to do it. We're almost 30 people now that we've taught to do that with 0 failures. Everybody has a pickup that works, and we do it in a day. So, yeah, pretty cool.
And I'm not sure that was the question. So we're about to take, this is the last question I have queued up. So if I did not answer your question. You need to get it back in. So the last question is from Harrow Glop. So if that's not you and I didn't answer your we didn't ask your question, I don't have it. And you only have 6 minutes. Harrow Glop says, is it possible to get an extra out of phase position in a telly with a 4-way switch? I can't find any schematics without using a toggle switch or a push-pull pot.
So you need a double pull deal for that, usually, to do an out of phase. So if you use a super switch, you can do that. And there are wiring diagrams for that. I would recommend checking out JerseyShoreGuitarGarage.com. My buddy Jimmy makes all these crazy wiring harnesses, and he has this telly, a 5-way telly switch setup. Well, you drop it in your guitar with pots and everything, and it's called the Serial Killer Telly on his website, but it's pronounced serial like series. So, it's spelled like that. And he's got a series position and an out of phase position in there, as well as the other 3 positions, and it's fantastic. But he uses a super switch to do it.
Ivan Romanenko, Dylan, does it make sense to wind pickups with aluminum wire instead of copper? Will the DC resistance mess up the frequency range of the pickup?
The inductance will be completely different, and aluminum is so brittle that it will not really work that well. At that gauge, I wouldn't want to do it.
Oh, I think my phone must have shipped.
Your phone must have what?
Shipped.
Oh, nice.
They just charged me for it.
Oh.
Whoops. Octopus Ear says, thoughts on the PRS Hendrix amps?
I want one. The only reason I do not own one is because it does not have all of the fancy back-end stuff to, like, I would need to get an aux box or something to run it quietly, because a load box or something, because I need to be able to play quietly. Otherwise, I would own one in a hot second.
Super chat from Doc. Thanks for the super chat. He says, the pickup winding classes are awesome. I now have 4 P90s that I have wound, and they sound killer. No way I could do that without your help and instruction.
Thanks, man.
Doc's been twice.
Doc has gone to our pickup winding thing twice. Yeah.
Another super chat here.
It is so fun.
Super chat from Sean McMillan. Thank you for the super chat. He says, Dylan, any word on the controls for my P90 project?
Yes.
Is yes the word?
Well, I'm having trouble. There's 2 wiring diagrams that I'm working on right now that are kicking my butt. And it's for 2, I feel really bad because it's for 2 of our highest level Patreon patrons, Sean and Thomas. And Thomas wanted a really crazy wiring diagram thing too, and those 2 things are kicking my butt. I can't make them work the way I want them to work. And so it's frustrating because I want to deliver, and I'm having trouble with those 2 things. Just to be honest with you, and I don't like that, but anyway.
Doug Santiello says, even when you screw up, Dylan just shows you how to fix it. But after winding my own, I realize I don't mind paying for already done pickups.
I think everybody said that. They're like, well, I guess I'm not going to complain about how expensive these things are anymore, because it's true. It's hard to do it. It's a
Paul
thing.
is calling me out. So it's Paul Needs. I accidentally lost your comment somehow. His question was, how did you start to make pickups?
Actually, my buddy that I just told you about, Jimmy from Jersey Shore Guitar Garage, he and I knew each other in the dirt bike industry, and he was making these wiring harnesses, and he's like, I have an idea, and I want to talk to you about it. So I made my center punch pickup. I came up with that idea, and then he and I developed a wiring harness. So if you order, like, for example, if you order a 21-tone Jimmy Page wiring harness from Jimmy at Jersey Shore Guitar Garage, the color codes will match up with my pickup, my center punch pickup. because I developed that pickup with him with that. So this was years ago. And then he called me one day and he's like, hey, there's this guitar builder that builds beautiful guitars but doesn't want to do any electrical stuff. So I'm going to sell him wiring harnesses and you're going to make pickups for him. And I'm like, okay. So I did. And it grew and grew and grew and grew from there. And that was probably almost 10 years. I think next fall, I think will be 10 years that we've been doing it.
Okay, we have like 3 more questions. We're going to go into 9 o'clock because it's 9 o'clock now. Last
Okay.
3 questions.
Okay.
Am I lying?
We're not stopping at 9, but she's only got 3 more. Except we got a
Tony.
super chat. Another super chat. Go ahead.
Thank you for
That's really
the
why she does
super chat, Van Shank Guitars. He says, check with Dan Thompson at Guns and Guitars. He can figure out wiring diagrams in minutes.
Yeah, he's really good at it too. I am going to call in. I got to phone a friend on these 2 things that I'm doing. I mean, I do. I don't know everything. I got to figure it out.
Do we get $1 million after you call a friend? Isn't that how that works?
I don't know. I know these 2 guys are going to have my hide if I don't figure it out soon, though. So I want to make sure that I do.
All right. Now I lost my place. Tony Leonardi. Would you
Tony.
be able to make or suggest what you currently make pickups to compare or match Joe Bonamassa Telly single home configuration?
Yes, I'm working on that, and that video is coming out very soon because I'm making a Keith Richards copy. And it's very similar. Our flat 6 Telly pickup bridge and our DAF neck. That's what I would do in that situation. And that's what I'm doing in the Keith Richards copy that we're about to do.
McDowell YL. Made my Telly a Nashville. Bridge and neck equals Fralin Blues. What middle pickup would you suggest for ultimate strat quack in 2 and 4 positions? Love the show and listen at work.
Our classic 5 strat pickup middle position, that would work. That would work for that.
Ison said, will you ever do a... Ison said is the name. They said, will you ever do a pickup class in Southern California?
I don't know is the answer. I don't want to say no, but I don't know.
Machu says, what is the cost to get set up to wind your own pickups?
The class is $500. It includes all the parts, all the everything. You just show up.
All right. It is 9:02.
And you get to make 2.
Sorry, we went a little over. If this is new to you, from 8 to typically 9 is guitar. And then after 9, we digress
into whatever off-topic conversation you want to talk about. It's just kind of our way of being able to hang out with you.
And if you got here late and you still have a guitar question, it has to be a super chat.
Yeah.
No guitar talk.
Yep. The only guitar questions that we'll answer after 9 o'clock has to be a super chat. That's how that works. And otherwise, you can ask us anything. I don't know if we'll answer the question, but you can ask us anything about anything that, this is just our kind of our way, our time to just hang out and be friends with y'all, because that's what makes this whole thing go, honestly.
Angel Raven 444 said, let the gaslighting begin. That's funny. Anyway, so I just have to tell you. So Scott asked me, was I in band?
No. No.
Solano Speed Shop says, we hadn't already digressed.
I know. The whole word thing was funny.
Curtis Chavez, in preparation for overtime, malarkey, poppycock, shenanigans, tomfoolery through the yin-yang.
Through the yin-yang. That's funny. What else do we got? Is that the only...
Solano Speed Shop says, digression and debauchery.
Right. We already told you the debauchery thing doesn't go very far with us. Oh, knife of the week.
Wait.
Go ahead.
You're interrupting the flow here.
Oh, am I interrupting
because
the flow?
This is Steve Rezor. I don't know who he is or what connections
New name?
he has. No,
Thank-
I think he's been here.
Okay.
But he must have a connection we're not aware of. Could you come to Sweetwater and do a pickup class?
The answer is yes. If you could somebody could make that happen, where we could make some content surrounding that, I absolutely would do that. Yeah.
Sorry, that was work after
Woo!
hours
Yeah,
guitar talk.
I totally would.
I don't know what kind of hookup Steve has, but he's holding out on us. Let's see. What type of coffee do you drink?
Um, right now I just have some stuff from Savannah, Georgia, local roaster, but they're big because they sell to like Costco and stuff, so it's not super special. Um, I am a bit of a coffee
I thought it was
snob.
Charleston.
Oh, it's Charleston. You're right. I'm a bit of a coffee snob, but we don't currently have anything special. Usually, while we travel, we'll pick up pounds of coffee from various small roasters around the country. People will send us stuff sometimes, um, and I love trying it all. We have a a single boiler espresso machine, and we usually use a Chemex to make coffee in, and then on the road when we're in the motorhome, we have an AeroPress that we take with us. Yep, I love coffee.
Rusty says, have you seen any new or interesting artists?
Not lately. I've been really interested in I've been watching Tim Henson a bunch because he's such an incredible guitar player, and that new nylon thing's very interesting. I don't know. Have you seen any? My son's fiance spent 7 hours on the internet yesterday or the day before to get Taylor Swift tickets. And she did get them finally. She said for nosebleed at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, they were $110 each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen like after hours memes, and they're like, I survived the Ticketmaster or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow.
Yep. Ticketmaster's crazy. I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't gone to many shows, because I don't want to support, speaking of small business stuff, I just don't feel like I want to support that whole sliding scale ripoff that Ticketmaster is right now. I just don't know if I can support that.
All right, you ready to keep going?
Sure.
Oops. I'm clicking. All right. Charles Wallace says, just for Leslie, going to see my aunt that lives in the city in the holler. LOL. Charles gets me. Vinny's World, has the wine been decided yet? I don't see Rick here today, so
Rick not
is supposed to be deciding the wine.
Yeah, Rick Bonneville is choosing the wine, and for those of you that don't know, he's going to tell us, and we were supposed to do that this week too.
Announce it?
Yeah, I'll reach out to him and we'll try to make some sort of announcement. But we're going to have across YouTube, across the world, wine tasting, fun after hours night, the last show of the year. So it's going to kind of be our New Year's Eve show, even though it's not actually New Year's Eve. But it's going to be with wine. So that's because we're not sommeliers, but apparently Rick knows more about wine than we do.
Yeah, everybody probably knows more about wine than I do.
Yeah. So we're going to do
that. Jason Albert, I think your comment got cut off. It says, since you're into boots, have you ever watched? And then you just left me hanging. So I don't know who we're supposed to be watching, Jason. Angel Raven 444. How many guitars is too many?
There isn't enough.
And then they also had a question. What's the most awfulest roadkill you've ever seen?
So I used to manage a collision shop. I got a couple stories. I had a friend, it was actually a friend of mine, brought his car into my shop and he hit a javelina. And if you don't know what a javelina is, if you've never watched The Princess Bride and seen the ROUS, the rodent of unusual size, it looks like a javelina looks like a pig, but it's not a pig. It's actually a rodent. In Arizona, and anytime you hit It went in the frame. So the meat of the thing went into the frame of the car, and then it sat in our yard over the weekend. And we pulled it into the shop, and of course it's 100 degrees in Arizona, and that festering meat sitting inside the frame was in there for part of the repair before we realized where the stench was coming from, because it's rotting in the frame, but it's all the way in there so you can't see it. It like hole punched the animal and it like went in there. And then my other crazy roadkill story, it wasn't really roadkill, but I had a customer call me one day and say, how much does it cost to get the entire interior of a car removed? And I was like, there's no answer for that. Like and I was like, why do you need that? And she's like, well, we have a boa constrictor and we took it to the vet and it got out on the way home and it's in our car somewhere and we don't know where it is.
A boa?
Mm-hmm.
Was it grown?
It was grown. So I was like, well, bring it over and we'll see what's up. And of course, I got these 5 guys that work for me.
But it's not dead, right?
No, it's alive.
That's not roadkill.
But we were just trying to find it. I'm just telling you this story. So I'm trying to find this boa constrictor. They go up to heat, so I had my tech take the airbag out of the car, and he was up underneath the dash, and I pulled him out like this, and he was like 8 feet long. This 8-foot boa constrictor stuck inside the dash of this car. So that's probably I know it's not roadkill, but that's probably my weirdest story ever about animals in cars. I did have a mountain lion attack a convertible one time.
I had a deer attack me one time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Anyway, familiar person. You were talking about people from the South. I was born and am now living again in central Mississippi. And I have a word you haven't heard. Shipokame is his grandfather's name for a heron. You're correct. I've never heard that.
Nope. Heard that either.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But the way you spelled it out, I'm assuming, I don't know. Let's see. Give them 2. I'm probably saying that wrong, right?
I love it.
Did you ever design parts for KTM while Roger DeCoster was there?
What years was that? I remember his name, but I don't. So we did a lot of stuff in the aftermarket, and we did a lot of stuff for particular race teams. So we had our own company in it. We built aftermarket parts, but we supplied race teams too. So I guess he probably was there now that I think about it. I never dealt with him personally though. My KTM stuff was through a guy, kind of.
Stu Crombie says, I seen crazy stuff in Cali. I got confronted with a coyote outside my truck, got to my dad's house, thought it was a massive cat, and head spun around was an owl. At night. It says at night shit me up, but I don't know what he was trying to say. And then it says, seen a possum, red eyes. Yeah, possums are creepy.
Possums are gnarly looking. We have them here, and they are crazy at night. Armadillos are kind of gross when they're roadkill, because they're weird looking when they get smashed.
Charles Wallace said, I had 2 rattlesnakes come out of a garbage truck I was working on one winter. Scared me really bad. That would scare me too.
Yep.
Paul Need says, your RV looks magnificent. It wouldn't fit on some of the roads here in the UK. I think we downsized since
Yeah. So we have gotten rid of our big RV, and since you're in the UK, you would be familiar with probably a Fiat Ducato. Is that what they're called? That's what we have now. Over here, it's a Ram ProMaster, but it's a Fiat. It's a Fiat Ducato. So it's 20 feet long. The GVWR is under 9,500 pounds. So it's a lot smaller. So it's more European sized.
Rusty, who is the celebrity quote pass for each of you? I don't know that that's anything I've ever thought about.
Yeah, me either, really.
I'm not, because they specifically said celebrity, right? So, like,
We're not starstruck people.
I do not care. Like,
Mm-mm.
I appreciate everybody's accomplishments, but like to me, everybody's a person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen famous people, and I'm like, oh, they're so and so. Like, it'd just be like if I ran into Scott at the grocery store. I'd be like,
It's
oh, there's Scott.
partially because of who we are and our kind of personalities, and it's also partially because of what we do for a living. You just can't. I don't know. And it's one of those don't meet your heroes thing too, because once you know somebody and you realize they're just regular, then the ooh kind of thing goes away. And sometimes you learn stuff you don't want to learn.
I
Which
get that. So I'm sure that's disappointing, but
me too.
that's it. I don't have one.
My celebrity crush is John 5, so kind of.
That makes it a little weirder. Van Shank Guitar said, I saw a guy split a deer with his bike. That sounds terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jason Albert said, since you're into boots, have you ever watched Rose Anvil on YouTube?
No, I will check that out. I love boot review stuff. I only have two brands. I have two pairs of Lucchese's and two pairs of Los Altos, and I will continue to buy Lucchese's because they really fit me and they're really nice. I've tried a bunch of other brands and they just don't fit my feet right. Even higher end brands than Lucchese. But I really like Lucchese.
Doc Siltonen says, suggestions for a long weekend in Augusta or Atlanta?
Oh, I mean, just come down here. I got you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what are you having a long weekend for?
yeah, man.
I mean, if you want to like go eat amazing food, we should probably go to Atlanta. But if you just want to hang out with some folks, like
Yeah,
maybe
man.
come
No,
to
it's
Augusta.
yeah. You just come on. I got you.
I believe you have everybody's number that you need to contact.
That's right.
Angel Raven 444. What's the farthest you have ever hucked a bike, a double, triple, etc. jump?
I'm not a jumper. I'm a desert racer at heart. So I won't jump big gaps. I don't like jumping big gaps, but here's a roadkill story. I've hit a dead seal on the beach at 100 miles an hour on a dirt bike.
I remember this story. That's so gross.
And my buddy was on my like 4 o'clock back here, and I sprayed him with seal guts.
What a weird story.
Yeah. I was on a Yamaha WR450, toothed up in the front, wide open, going like 103 miles an hour. And yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, I used to go to Mexico and ride, and I was in Arizona, so desert racing is my thing. Going fast. I broke my back going fast. I love going fast in the dirt.
Jason Albert is talking about the boot channel.
Mm-hmm.
He cuts them in half, basically you, but with boots.
I have seen that guy. Yeah, because he's like, is the soul really what they say it is? Is it crap inside? Yeah. No, I have seen it. It's not a guy. Wait. Maybe not. I've seen somebody cut boots apart on YouTube, though. I have.
Who said it's a guy? You said it's a guy?
I don't remember.
It should be a guy?
I don't remember. I have seen somebody cut boots in half. I don't know if it's the same person.
Doc says we should have a Dead Seal t-shirt, too.
Dead Seal.
I don't know how I responded. Leslie, your response to the story cracked me up.
She's like, ugh.
I don't remember. Rusty, have you ever tried any of those mixed mushroom drinks like Rise? No. I've done a lot of research, though. I don't even know if you're asking me, but I am the one that looks into all that stuff. I've looked at a lot, that being one of them, but I just don't know if I believe the hype right now. So if you've tried it, Rusty, I would like to know if that's something that you recommend or if it was something you were just curious about.
Yeah.
Sean McMillan, how many guitars do you need? Just one more.
That's right.
And Curtis Chavez responded to Rusty saying he hadn't tried the Rise yet, but mud is terrible. I've also heard that.
I've heard that too.
So that's the thing. Like, mushrooms smell and taste like soil.
Mm-hmm.
So
dirt in a can doesn't
I am
make sense.
hesitant to purchase it and doubt the benefits. So if you have a great story, I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Because I am interested if it is true.
Makes sense.
Rusty, what is your dream international vacation spot?
We've talked about this before. I want to spend a entire F1 season going to all of the F1 events, traveling around as they happen. I don't know. If we could pick anywhere to go right now for vacation, though, where would you want to go?
Vacation?
Yeah, let's say we're going to go for 2 weeks.
And nothing matters?
And nothing matters.
Only 2 weeks?
Okay, whatever.
I mean, the number one spot I want to go to internationally, period, is probably Sydney.
Okay, I would go with that. I want to go to northern Italy. There is a road in particular, because it's always about a drive for me, or a motorcycle factory tour. But yes, I want to go to Australia. I had an opportunity to go to Australia with a race team in the late 2000s, and I logistically ended up not being able to go, and something I really want to do. I've never been to Australia. That is for sure.
What's a marmot? Is that a small mammal?
I thought
marmot? So. Solano Speed Shop says, I've nearly hit both a marmot and a bear going up Pikes Peak. Those were both interesting experiences. Is that the same trip?
We've gone up Pikes Peak a couple times.
Yep.
We took our van up there.
The boot person is a guy.
Okay, then I did see it.
And then Vinny's World is like, is that the guy that cut apart different Doc Martens to compare their quality? I don't know. Paul Need says, LOL at Leslie. I thought you were going to say you've tried a lot of mushrooms.
I thought she was too, actually. And I'm like, I'm waiting for her to say how she's going to respond to this. And I'm like, I know you haven't tried them, though. So we're not from the correct states.
Steve Rezer. Dylan, do you ever like to wear your boots like the Congressman David Dillick wore his? I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
Steve, did you tell us about the Sweetwater hookup? If you're still here. Ison said, Dylan, I love dirt bikes. Also, I get to hear about guitars, dirt bikes, and knives. Awesome. Way to go, bro. I have a YZ250.
Nice. I've had YZ250s before, too.
Rusty says, I'm too old now, but I always wanted to ride the ISDE 6 days.
Woo! Yeah, you got some balls there. That's gnarly.
Someone's dad says, ooh, Aprilia tour? What?
Aprilia tour?
I don't know.
Aprilia? Oh, yeah. Aprilia factory tour. No, Ducati, for sure. I mean, Aprilia too, but Ducati.
Stu Crombie says, go to Hawaii first, halfway to Australia. Yeah,
my brother is in Hawaii right now, and we're thinking about going over there. Yeah.
Doc says he's going to Australia next fall. Are we coming?
I don't know.
That's real tempting.
Good question.
Because I don't know how to. I've never internationally traveled, so
we went to Dominican Republic.
That does not count. We went to the Hard Rock Resort.
Yeah, we went
Dominican.
To the all-inclusive thing. Flew down there.
No, it's not the same thing.
You did have a monkey on your head, though.
Not by choice. Paul Need says, F1, now we're talking. Always wanted to go to Spa and be looking down
Belgium.
A Rouge. I don't know.
Yeah, A Rouge. That's one of the corners.
Angel Raven 444 says, let's hear the backstory on that knife you're holding.
Oh, yeah. So knife of the week, because I just got this. Actually, there's no backstory, because I just
There
got
is
this.
a backstory.
Well, I guess there is. Yeah.
Where's the other one?
Yeah, we should grab the other one, because we went to Southeastern Knife Works or whatever, the largest
Smoky
Mountain Knife Works in Sevierville, Tennessee, which is the largest knife store in the world. And these are actually going to be in a YouTube video on our other channel. So for those of you that don't know, we have another channel that's like a lifestyle channel that has nothing to do with guitars. It's all about our traveling and our motorhome and our various traveling stuff. We went to Sevierville, went to that store, and Leslie bought a Microtech out the front. And I really wanted a ProTech automatic, and I was going to buy this knife. And Leslie saw this one, and because it's rose gold
and blurry.
Hang on. Anyway, it's really pretty. She's like, you should get that. So I got this instead. And it is a phenomenal knife. So this is what he calls the Godfather. And so this is the Godson. And it's an automatic, so it's basically just the smaller version of that other knife. There it goes. It's just that smaller version of that other knife. It's an out-the-side automatic with ivory micarta scale handle inlays, and yeah, it's really cool. It is a really cool knife, and I just got it yesterday. So now I have the Godfather and the Godson. So. And after somebody said something about it last week in last week's video, I've been shopping all week for the right proper Italian stiletto, but I haven't found it yet. Still working on it.
Paul Need says, woo, illegal as hell here. I don't know where Paul is.
So he's either in California or in New York, or there's like 3 states left that you can't have. So like in California, you can't have an automatic that's longer than 3 inches or 2.5 inches or something. I can't remember.
All right, let me scroll back up. Ivan Romanenko, would you buy a road bike for fun? If yes, which one?
We're talking road motorcycle. I'm in the process of shopping for one right now, and I don't know, man. I'm kind of all over the place. It's gonna be some sort of cruiser, but sportier with some I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place. I've even looked at the new Harley Sportster S. I went and rode it. It is so fun. But it doesn't turn very good because it has a 160 front tire. It's really weird. I really kind of want an Indian just to say I had one because I've never had an Indian before. I've never had an American motorcycle, ever. And I've had almost every other brand you can think of, just about. And I've ridden pretty much every other brand you can think about. I've been thinking about Ducati Scrambler. I've been thinking about Triumph T120 Bonneville. But I want something in that vein. Something sporty, cruisery, cafe racery, vintagey kind of. That's kind of where I'm going.
Doc said he's also headed to Hawaii in January.
Oh, nice.
Scott Dreyfus says, Andaz or the Four Seasons in Costa Rica. Like Nike, just do it. It really is the happiest place on earth. Pura vida, bitches.
Nice.
Let's see. Someone's dad said we had a few ProTechs in the pawn shop earlier this year. We had a Godson, Godfather, and I think a nice Benchmade too.
Yeah, I got a bunch of Benchmades. I like them too. I just bought her another Benchmade actually a couple weeks ago.
Jason Albert says, how far of a drive for you to the knife shop?
4.5 hours. I don't remember. We didn't go just for that kind of we did. We took the van and we went up there and stayed for the weekend. And there's a little RV park that's like right around the corner from the knife shop, and it's right on a river. It's really pretty. Of course, you get to go to the Smokies if you want. Like it's a cool place.
Which we did.
Which
and
we
I never
did.
posted any pictures.
No, we have Smoky Mountains was beautiful, and it was awesome.
Rusty says in Italy, the Stelvio Pass has 75 hairpin turns. Is that the road you want to drive or ride?
Yes, sir. That is the road.
Timothy Potter says, I find it nearly impossible to get out of Smoky Mountain Knife Works without buying at least one more. He said knives, but I guess he means knife. I don't know.
I agree.
Timothy Potter says, look at the new Goozy. I don't know. It is amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting a V7 or a V9, but I don't know. Jury's still out.
Jason Albert says, how about a Honda Goldwing?
Too big. So because of my spinal injury, anything really, really big, like I'd love to have a big touring bike, but getting it off the stand is really hard for me because of my spinal injury. So I have to have something that has a lot, the weight is really low, and you can just kind of move it around real easy. So I'm kind of being picky this time. Yeah.
Paul Need says Norton Commando then, or maybe an aerial arrow.
So I really want a Norton Commando, but I don't know. That would be my first choice, to tell you the truth. She's even knows this already. The Norton Commando 961 that just came out. The thing is, because I actually have a Norton.
You said she actually knows this, like I don't normally know things.
Not that you don't normally, but like this is one that we've talked about it a lot. I have a the Norton ad, the old Norton ad. I have it tattooed on my calf. Like that would be the one. The availability is the problem because I don't know if and when they're coming to the States, and I think they're going to be very. I'm not going to say they're going to be very expensive because everything's expensive, but I don't know. I would really like one, though.
Solano Speed Shop. Have you ever tried Woodford Reserve? Bourbon, I know, but darn good stuff.
Yes. I'm a bourbon guy, too. I'm drinking bourbon right now. Yeah,
I thought you said it was Scotch.
No, it's not, actually. Jefferson's Ocean is bourbon. Last week I was drinking Scotch. This week I'm drinking bourbon. I don't know. I think I have some Talisker Storm left, but other than that, I don't think I have any Scotch left.
Angel Raven 444. What's your guys' take on that latest moonshot? Real or fake AF?
I haven't looked into it enough. I haven't looked into it enough. I mean, I think it's real. But I don't know what it is. And I'm not gonna. That's so cool. What a neat color.
Stu Crosby said, I've had 2 slip discs. I recommend acupuncture. Seriously, I had it 5 weeks ago, and 2 days later, it removed a lot of pain.
That's interesting. That's one thing I've never tried. I have a fusion from T3 to T8, 2 8-inch rods and 8 5-inch screws holding my spine up. So, yeah, it's not good. I hurt every day, all the time. I don't talk about it in videos like I'm talking about guitar stuff, but I'm in pain 100% of the day.
What else? Nobody brought the malarkey or the shenanigans?
No.
Or the doohickeys?
And we're at 9:33, so maybe we have caught up unless somebody comes in with
maybe you're tired of us.
Sweet hot topic. Yeah, maybe they're done. They're like, whatever. It's over.
Yeah, maybe.
We're pretty chill tonight anyway. Last week was hilarious, and we were like laughing our butts off until the time we shut the thing off. I don't even remember what it was about, but either way, this is super fun. I did do a podcast today. I did the Man the Helm podcast. It's a guitar podcast, kind of. Comes out on December 2nd, I think, he told me. And it's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Oh, wrong button. Solano Speed Shop says, when you lived out here, did you ever get a chance to ride Pismo? Been a dream of mine.
Yes, and actually, I've ridden Pismo. We've actually taken a truck. We took a 4Runner to Pismo with the kids, and our kids weren't driving yet, and we let them drive on Pismo. I uh, actually let my son drive on Bonneville Salt Flats too.
We were trying to teach him how to drive a
Which
stick there.
he learned how to drive a stick
Yeah.
on Bonneville Salt Flats. So yeah.
Doc says BMW K1600 B719 option, German bikes.
Yeah, I would. So I've been looking at if I buy a German bike though. So if I get a BMW, it's gonna be an R9T, or I'm gonna go completely bonkers opposite direction and get an F800 GS. Because I really, 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 I had. So when I was in the power sports industry, of course I'd get. It's like guitars. I'd get a new bike like every week. So I've ridden almost everything, but the bike I personally paid my own money for was always an adventure bike. I always had some sort of adventure ADV thing. So that's where I really enjoy. That's what I really enjoy riding.
Curtis Chavez says chronic pain sucks. I'm sorry.
It does.
Timothy Potter, Glenn Morant. I don't know how you say these words. What's that? Like, we've had it.
Yeah, we've had it.
18 years will blow your skirt up. Skirts are dumb.
Yeah, I'll have to try it again, I guess.
New Gun Guy says, my favorite folder is a Freeman button lock, and my favorite fixed is the Goff Custom Resolute. Goughh. Is that
Freeman?
Goff? Yeah, Freeman button lock.
I'm going to look up what this is right now.
Jason Albert said, let's talk about feet. Curtis Chavez says, let's not. Paul Needs, spinal injuries really suck. Bent my neck 10 years ago. This Christmas, C4 compression of cord. Can't gig, stand for long, or walk far. No arm strength. Trying to build guitars is ... fun. I'm in the UK, by the way.
Oh, that's why knives are illegal. So Freeman folder, that's really cool. That's a really cool kind of a tactical.
Oh, look at that little die
big folder knife. Yeah, and the lanyard. I was thinking about getting a lanyard for this one. So my big folder, not to flex or anything, but this thing is so cool, and I think everybody should try to get one. Chris Reeves Sebenza. This knife, if I had to quit collecting knives today, I already have the knife. Like, this thing is so amazing. And that Freeman folder seems to be along the same lines, where it's just like...
What are these grooves, though?
It probably cuts down on resistance when you're slicing. Yeah, that's what that is, I would imagine. But I'm guessing that this Freeman folder that you're talking about, it's the same thing. You just want to cut stuff. Like, the thing's just made to do hard things. And I really like that about this Sebenza. It's the same thing. So it's been the one that's been really in my pocket that I've actually been carrying.
Are you familiar with the fix that he mentioned?
No, I'm not.
Goughh. Goff Custom Resolute.
Goughh?
Doc wants to know, when does the Junior get to your house?
He shipped it yesterday. And so probably by the time oh, that's cool. That's very cool. That's very cool, that Goff Custom Resolute. That's really neat. It's just like it's almost like a bushcraft sort of deal. I only have one fixed blade. I'll show you the one fixed blade because I like to have stuff that I can carry. I don't have very many knives that are like show pieces that I want to carry them. And so fixed blade's hard for me because I want to be able to put it in my pocket. So let me show you what I got. This is a Jesper Voxnez design, an MKM. Come on, focus. There it is. Nope. Anyway, and it's carbon fiber handle scales. And what I like about it is it's really, really small. It's M390 steel, and it's really small, and it goes in the sheath like this, and then this goes in this pocket like that. And so you can actually carry it, and the sheath stays in the pocket because it magnets to your pants. So it's kind of cool. So that's why I got this one, because I think it's really neat. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, knives are cool.
New Gun Guy says Southern Grind Knives just released a cool looking out the front.
I heard about that.
Give them 2. I did motocross from 70 to 77. Those short suspensions led to back pain every day. I feel it.
Yeah, everybody I know that's rode in those time periods. I used to be really good friends with Tom Webb. He was the editor of Dirt Bike Magazine, and I mean, all those guys that age who started riding in the 70s and the early 80s all had to have their knees replaced and hips problems and stuff like that. That's why there's a saying in all of that business, with age comes a cage, because you're just going to go to 4 wheels after a while because it's going to blow your body up, that's what happened to me, you know. I still love it, though, more than anything else. I'd give up guitars in a hot second if I don't know, maybe not now, but because I'm so in it, but I love motorbikes. I love motorbikes.
Stu Crombie is the one that mentioned acupuncture. He said, I didn't believe in it myself. I had sciatica like in each side of my body. It removed the pain. Next time I get it, I'll see again, because it might have been a one-off. If it helps with sciatica, I might want to try it.
Right.
Ivan Romanenko says BMW 9T is so cool looking. I would buy our 1200 GS though.
Yeah, the only thing about a 1200 GS is, again, that gets into big bike territory for me, and I want something smaller than that, physically smaller than that.
Solano Speed Shop. I sent my son out to Dave at Really Ready in Texas when it came to driving lessons. He learned to drive in stage, I'm assuming, rally cars and a 4-door dually.
That's what I have always wanted. I've always heard about, like, people, and I don't know if anybody's from over there.
It's not focusing on you. There it goes. You were blurry.
Oh, really?
Go ahead.
I don't know if anybody in here is, like, from Finland, but I've heard that over in Finland there's, like, all these other driving tests that you have to do, like driving on ice, and I think you have to jump the car as part of the driving test. Like, you have to have the wheels off the ground.
Because that's normal driving?
Because the roads are so bad that it happens. Oh my gosh. So, like, and ice and snow, and so they have to learn how to drive in low skid condition, like low traction conditions. I grew up in snow, so it's fine with me, but I think that would be really cool.
You want me to read some more, or are you going to keep talking? Because I have a lot of things to talk to.
Go for it. Do it.
Rusty says Suzuki just introduced a new 800 parallel twin V-Strom, both standard and adventure models.
I'm not a parallel twin fan.
Rico B. Dylan, have you seen the Triumph adventure bikes? They look sweet.
Okay, so I'm not a parallel twin fan, but Tiger 850 looks interesting.
Timothy Potter, both good choices on the Beamers. Try a GS. They have telepathic handling, raucous power.
Yeah, I really want to try an F800. I rode one a few years ago, but I've not ridden a later one.
Doug Santinello says, I wish I could wear boots, but since my spinal injury with drop foot, they just don't work for me. But I think I could ride a motorcycle because the shifter is on the left and it's my right foot.
Oh, yeah.
Angel Raven 444 says, have you ever seen a cottonmouth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Doc says he loves the little G-knife that Dave gave all the guys in the make class. He uses it daily. Charles Wallace loves his Kershaw.
Oh, God. Charles Wallace gave me a Kershaw. I've got it right up there. It's so cool. Yeah, this is the little knife that he's talking about. This is the knife from Texas Toast Dave.
Oh, is that why he says G-knife? Because it's rubber?
Yeah.
Not right. G-hole?
Yeah. Bryson uses this. My son uses this to work every day.
Burr637 says thoughts on spontaneous human combustion.
I've heard of it.
Really?
Yep.
That's so weird. Jason Albert says it only happens to liars' pants. Solano Speed Shop says my co-driver at Pikes Peak was a quadriplegic. Then we built him a hand control UTV, and he was the first quadriplegic to drive the hill climb.
Wait. You actually hill climb? I gotta go meet that guy. He's probably got something I want to drive.
Charles Wallace says I have 2 fixed blades. Stu Crombie says I've got a CRX MK2 2-liter VTEC 800 kilograms. Just blasts a lot of cars. I've had a lot of thumbs up from serious motorbike people whilst they're riding.
That's awesome.
Rusty says, do you watch Forged in the Fire TV series?
I have seen it. I have seen it. I don't follow it. I'm not a big TV series guy. Leslie literally just got me hooked on Yellowstone. I'm not a series, like, if you say Game of Thrones, I will not know anything because I've never even seen one. I don't really watch TV. And Leslie totally got me hooked on, we're going to watch one when we're done. I'm pretty sure, probably.
Because now you're driving it. You're like, I'm all in.
Totally hooked on Yellowstone. Yeah.
Paul Need says knives. What about Japanese swords?
I am fully interested in getting a proper katana, but I want a real one. And I am not currently, my financial commitments are to other things like guitars for the channel and possibly a motorcycle in the near future. And I want a katana, but it's going to take a commitment that I'm not going to commit the funds to that at the moment. But I really want one. But I want a real one, like not a Chinese knockoff of one. I want a real one. But they're expensive.
Stu Crombie said, it's true, Dylan. Scandinavian drivers are the best.
Right? I mean, that's why all the Formula One drivers are driving them sideways into the corners all the time.
Alan Pettibone says, my neighbor is a BMW rider. Douchiness is strong in that crowd.
Me and my buddy used to joke. They're not as douchey as Harley people, but me and my buddy used to joke that you could buy, me and Seth, we're like, we want to sell bugs in a spray bottle so that when you have a BMW, you could show up at the coffee shop, but you could spray bugs all over the front of your bike to make it look like you just rode 800 miles, even though you just came from home to the coffee shop.
Solano Speed Shop says, yeah, 8 years. ATVs, then cars. I even got a trophy once. LOL.
Nice.
Dylan and Leslie, what's your take on, what's that word? Megaliths, ancient aliens, or real strong natives? So that must be a thing, and they're asking, do we think it's this or this?
I don't know.
I have no idea what any of those words mean.
No idea.
So I guess I don't have a take. I don't understand this question either. Novotny says, what guitar channels do you rate, Dylan? What's that mean?
I don't know. I guess think about stuff I watch. So, to be totally honest with you, I have a really hard time watching guitar YouTube because I make so much of it. I think it's very understood, like not understood enough how many hours out of the week it takes to make this content. And so it's on my mind so much that when I sit down to watch YouTube, I don't really watch guitar YouTube. We just did the review on this Halcyon pedal by Origin Effects, and I didn't really understand the pedal, and I was having a hard time with it. So I will watch some stuff to learn about stuff so that I can be educated on stuff every once in a while, but I don't care who it is as long as it's good. I pretty much watch every rig rundown so that I can kind of get a feel for what's out there and what people are using. But I don't really watch guitar YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, but it's very seldom. I watch Texas Toast every Thursday before we go live because a lot of times our subjects kind of run together, or sometimes like today, our subjects came from a conversation that me and Matt had. So like I watched the one before, but I don't really watch that much YouTube. I watch a little bit of Rhett Shull. I watch a little bit of that pedal show.
Sometimes you watch, rig rundowns. You watch Andertons.
I do watch Andertons when there's a piece of gear that I'm interested in. But if it's something that I think I'm going to review, I intentionally avoid it. Unless there's something I need to know that I'm not getting out of the sales literature. I watch Steve Starlacci because he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few, but I usually am watching knife content, motorbike content, every car thing ever, every racing thing, 1320 video, Cletus McFarlane, just because that's entertainment.
So people are educating me. Megaliths are things like pyramids, Stonehenge. So then the question is, ancient aliens or real strong natives? I definitely think it's people.
Okay, so the Stonehenge thing.
Okay.
100%, it's people did it. I actually listened to a podcast not long ago. Stonehenge is not the only one of those things over there.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of them. There's a wooden one that they just have some fragments left because of wood. No, there's all kinds of reasons why they can track it back to. Remember, that's what I was telling you. Like they started to eat dairy and it was making everybody sick, so they had to like stick with it because their bodies couldn't handle dairy because nobody before this actual time period ate cheese.
What does that have to do with Stonehenge?
Because it's a time period when all that stuff, they think it all happened. There's a whole... Anyway.
Okay. That was weird. I wasn't making the connection.
I was trying to connect a conversation that I actually had with you about that. That's where it came from.
Doug Santinello says, most of the Japanese forgers are making golf clubs now. He would know that.
He would. They're probably awesome.
See. Scott Dreyfus is drinking Macallan Edition number 1 tonight.
Wait, does that mean you can get like a Damascus golf club?
I don't know.
You know, like with all the squigglies in it.
Charles Wallace's family has one from World War II. Super cool katana. If you ever make it to North Kentucky, he can show you some really cool things.
I have no doubt that Charles and the people that Charles know have some very cool old things.
Timothy Potter says, I have 2 fixed blades that my dad made me. I'd love to send you pics. They are beautiful. By the way, the bugs on my Beamer are North Carolina and Tennessee natives.
Nice.
Stephen Frazier wants to know, would Dylan consider himself frugal?
It depends. I hate spending money on underwear. I don't like spending money on some stuff, and I don't mind spending money on other stuff. So frugal is not... No, I'm not frugal.
Angel Raven 444 says, Dylan, do you remember that Chuck Grove groovy guitar guy? Have you ever seen him or know him?
I know who he is, but I don't know.
Jason Albert says, Project Farm is also another awesome YouTube channel. The stuff he tests is cool.
Yep. Frugal. Okay, I'm going to go back to this frugal thing for a second. I don't care about frugality because I think you should enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. We do prioritize our life very differently than other people so that we can have experiences. So we live in an apartment so that we can travel. Like we could buy a house if we want, but then that makes it to where you stay in one place more. We don't want to stay in one place. We want to stay in one place enough to get the work done so we can go do fun stuff. So we are frugal. We are spending less on various things so that we can prioritize experiences in our life. So that is a thing. I like to share that with people.
Let's see. Ivan Romanenko wants to know, could you recommend any motorcycle channels?
There's not really, I don't know. Like Moto Bob is pretty good. The dude he's British, I think. To tell you the truth, I am fairly disappointed with most motorbike channels. I'm fairly disappointed with them. I feel like we do have a fair amount of high quality guitar channels, and there is a good amount of high quality car channels, and I think motorcycle channels are lacking. I do like Revzilla. I like the dude that does the daily ride. I think he's hilarious. Leslie doesn't like it when he giggles when he does wheelies and stuff, but I do like him.
Sounds like he should be a cartoon character. He would be a great voice actor for cartoons.
He's really good, and I really do like him.
New Gun Guy says, as far as guitar, you and Tim Lurch are my favorite channels.
Oh yeah.
Stu Combry said Matt Armstrong. I don't know what that's in relation to or who that is. Rusty says, have you ever seen a French motorcycle called Aventon?
Yep.
Previously known as Wacken. I meant to say Matt Armstrong. I see him most weeks. We get cars mapped codes. Delete. I still don't know what we're talking about. Paul Need says the Bluestones in Stonehenge originated around 60 miles from here. I saw a BBC program recently that suggests their original location was a circle close by. They found, quote, proof.
That's interesting, because then they talk about how they were hewn to that shape in that location because they can see the impressions in the ground and like the sawdust from it. Not the sawdust, but the rock chips from it being made a few hundred yards from where they then stood them up.
Stu Crombie says, do you watch Hunter Tuned? He's in Wisconsin. He's mad. He was going 50 miles per hour on a stand-up scooter.
No, I've not seen that.
Doc asks, are you familiar with the Car Throttle YouTube channel?
Yep.
Timothy Potter says that's intelligent frugality. Novotny. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Are you, technically speaking, a pickup artist?
I mean, I got you.
What would your title be? Whatever. Ivan Romanenko says Moto Station is cool, but it's French. Solano Speed Shop says, I know you dig cool helmets. Definitely check out Brett King if you haven't.
Okay.
Daniel Zamora, you should check out the Crazy Russian Hacker. He makes a lot of camping and knife videos.
Ooh.
Rusty says experiences over conformity, materialism, money, and keeping up with the Jones.
Yeah, we did that. We did that house in a subdivision. We didn't have a picket fence, but well, I guess we kind of did in the backyard.
Charles says, you're the only channel that gets hours of my time at any one sitting. Best channel on YouTube, period.
And the only reason we do it and do it for hours at a time is because y'all are here and we're hanging out. And
here.
It's fun.
All 66 of you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's wild.
It's really fun. No, this is really fun. We're going on 2 hours, though.
Oh, that might be why I'm tired. And we have to watch an episode of our show. You said no.
I guess so. You guys, this has been super fun. We will do it again next week. I promise. And for those of you that are new, thank you. And
we do know it is technically a holiday, but
yes,
we should still have internet and we will still be here. Well, actually, we won't be here.
No, we'll be in Florida.
Be on YouTube.
Yes. So we know that, yeah, next week will be Thanksgiving. However, doing Thanksgiving shows usually does really well
Not
for
all
us.
of you have Thanksgiving, so
Well, and it's late in the night by the time, for
Yeah.
depending on where you are. And so, and
Well, it's in
actually there's a
yeah.
lot of Europeans and a lot of people from
Yeah.
countries that don't
They
do
don't
things.
care.
Yeah. So and I know that
And it's not Canadian Thanksgiving. That's a different day.
right. So by this time in the evening, a lot of times people are kind of done. They're just chilling, they're watching football, they're doing whatever. So we're going to do it anyway. So we'll do it on Thanksgiving next week. And yeah, we're going to do the news next week. We're going to do everything we normally do, but we're going to be in Florida. So I think you're going to dig it. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Bye, y'all.